好。
Hello everyone, we are Group 6 and our topic is surveys. Research designs can classify by the approach used to collect the primary data. There are two alternatives. The first one, we can observe conditions, behaviors, events, people, or processes. And the second one is we can communicate with people about the various topics, including the participants' motivations and expectations. And researchers can learn more opinion by the communication basic approach, by the observation techniques cannot gather such information. And the communication approach involves surveying or interviewing people and recording their response for analysis. A survey is a measurement process used to collect the information during a highly structured interview. And the goal of the survey is to derive the comparable data of the subset from the chosen sample, and so that we can find the differences and the similarities. And the great strength of the survey as a primary data collecting approach is its versatility, such as we can use the telephone or the internet as a communication media to expand our geographic coverage. And however, in the communications research, it has the various errors. Understanding those errors, we can help us to avoid such error. And the first one, there are three major sources of error in communication research. And the first one is measurements, questions, and the survey instruments. The second one is interviewers, and the third one is participants. And in this chapter, we focus on the interviewers' error and the participants' error. The first one is interviewer error. It is a major source of sampling error and the response bias. It's caused by various actions. The first one is failure to secure full participant cooperation. And the second one is failure to record answer accurately and completely. The third one is failures to consistently execute interview procedures. And the falsification of individual answers or whole interviews. And the next one is inappropriate influencing behavior, such as interviewer may provide some inappropriate suggestion or body language to influence the participant's answer. And the last one is physical presence bias. And such as the older interviewers may seen as authority figures by the young people, so they may modify their answers to accordingly. The second one is participant errors. And there are three broad conditions must be met by participants to form a successful survey. The first one is the participant must possess the information being targeted by questions. The second is they must understand their role in the interview as the provider of accurate information. And the third one is they must have adequate motivation to cooperate. The next is the participant-based error. There are three factors that may influence the participation. The participants must believe that the experience will be pleasant and satisfying. They must believe that answering the survey is an important use of their time, and they must dismiss any mental reservation that they might have about participation. Whether the interview will be pleasant or satisfying depends on the interviewer's in-personal and the telephone survey. Typically, participants will cooperate with the interviewer whose behavior reveals confidence. So, if for the participant to think about that their cooperation is very important for the survey, the explanation of the survey's purpose is necessary. And the next one is response-based error. It occurs when the participants fail to give a correct answer or a complete answer. And we have to select questions qualify participants when there is doubt about their ability to answer. Like we can ask some questions that the participant can provide some desirable answer, such as their household income or age. And participants also provide some response error in such way as unconsciously or consciously misrepresent their actual behavior and preference. This kind of error called response bias. And the second one is that they may create response bias when they modify their answer to be social acceptable. This is called the social desirability bias. And one of the major response bias is acquiescence. On the participant part, acquiescence may be a result of lower cognitive skills related to a concept or language difficulties. And however, for the researchers, they can contribute to acquiescence by the speed which they ask questions and the placement of questions in an interview. Some participants may not have any opinion for the topic of concern, and so their proper answer may be don't know or have no opinion. They may choose this option because they want to shorten the time spent in the interview, or they think they feel have insufficient information to form a judgment. And participants may interpret a question differently from what was intended by researcher. This occurs when the researcher use words are unfamiliar to participants. So, regardless the reason, each source of error can reduce the value of the data collected, and the communicated response should be accepted for what they are. And the statement by individual and the flag reflect the varying degrees of truth and accuracy.
And now I'm going to introduce self-administered survey. The self-administered survey questionnaire is everywhere in modern living. A short questionnaire is left to be completed by the participant in a convenient location or is packaged with a product. Self-administered mail surveys are delivered by the postal service, fax, and the courier service. Others include computer delivered and interceptor study. The evaluation of the self-administered survey. Nowhere has the computer revolution has been felt more strongly than in the area of the self-administered survey. Computer-delivered self-administered questionnaire, also loved computer-assisted self-interview or CASIs. It uses organizational intranets, the internet, or online service to reach participants. Participants may be targeted or self-selecting. On the computer or its network on the cloud, or both may be sent to the participant by mail, disk by mail, survey. And intercept surveys are at place such as small or street corners. The survey may use traditional paper and pencil questionnaire or a computer-delivered survey via an iPad or netbook computer. The respondent participants are usually without interview assistant and are usually in a predetermined environment. Now I'm going to introduce some knowledge regarding self-administered survey method. The first one is cost. Self-administered surveys of all types typically cost less than survey via personal interview. Because it is often a one-man job, computer-delivered studies can eliminate the cost of printing surveys, which is a significant cost of both mail studies and personal interview employing print survey. Computer-delivered surveys called law of pre- and post notification. And next is sample accessibility. One asked to using mail self-administered surveys enable researchers to contact participants who might be inaccessible. Some groups are difficult to reach in person or by phone. As gatekeepers limit access, but researchers often assist the special participants by mail or computer. Additionally, the computer-delivered survey can reach samples that are identified no way other than their computer and internet use, such as user of online games. And that is time constraints. Although intercept studies still pressure participants for a relatively quick response, in a mail survey can take more time to collect facts than in other surveys, or consider reply at length than in other surveys. Computer-delivered studies often have time limitation, and it usually cannot be interrupted by the participant to seek information. And next is topic coverage. In this kind of survey, researchers normally do not expect to obtain large amount of information. Participants will generally refuse to cooperate with a long or complex mail questionnaire. With many questions, left unanswered testify to this problem. And